So, will you be my sugar daddy or not? Clara Walkers leaned out of her car window, designer sunglasses perched on her nose, lips curled into the kind of smile that had gotten her both into and out of trouble her entire life. The man in the sleek black car beside her didn't even flinch. His jaw was sharp, his suit definitely screamed money. No, she wasn't going to think about money. She was simply admiring the view. And what a view it was. Sharp Korean features. Hair swept back like that of a K-drama actor. Eyes so dark they looked like they held secrets she desperately wanted to uncover. "You're staring," he said, his voice deep with the faintest Korean accent wrapped around perfect English. "And you're ignoring a perfectly good offer," Clara shot back. The light's about to turn green. "Quick decision time, handsome. Sugar daddy, yes or no?" The corner of his mouth twitched. Then the light changed, and his car shot forward like a bullet from a chamber, leaving Clara laughing in a cloud of exhaust and the distinct feeling that she'd just poked a sleeping dragon. 12 hours later, Clara Walkers stood in the gleaming lobby of Kyung Industries, clutching her new employee badge, ready to start her dream internship. And that's when she saw him. The man from the traffic, walking toward her, wearing a CEO's smile and the look of a man who absolutely, definitely, certainly remembered her face. Her sugar daddy joke didn't seem so funny anymore. Welcome back, beautiful souls, to another story. If you're new here, you've just found your new favorite channel. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so you never miss a story. For my returning family, you already know what to do. Drop a comment, share the love, and let's get into this drama together. Trust me, you're going to want to see how this unfolds. Now, let's continue. The morning had started perfectly normal. Clara Walkers woke up at 6:30 a.m., exactly 13 minutes before her alarm, as usual. She'd done her skincare routine, laid out her outfit the night before, a fitted orange blazer over a white silk blouse and tailored cream trousers that made her legs look approximately 7 miles long, and even managed to eat breakfast like an actual functioning adult. First day energy, she'd told her reflection, adjusting her long dark hair so it fell in perfect waves past her shoulders. First day perfection. Her best friend Naomi Carter had texted her at 7:15. "You're going to crush it today. For years I've been at Kyung Industries, and I've never seen anyone ace the interview process like you did. Luther Kyung himself approved your application." The Luther Kyung. You should feel special. Clara had smiled at that, typing back quickly. "I don't feel special. I feel nauseous." Same thing. Absolutely not the same thing. Now go be amazing. I'll meet you in the lobby at 9. Don't be late. Clara was never late. At least, she'd never planned to be late. But Los Angeles traffic had other ideas. At 8:42 a.m., she found herself trapped on Wilshire Boulevard, surrounded by approximately 10,000 other cars, all of them stationary, all of them mocking her dreams of punctuality. "This is fine," she muttered, tapping her steering wheel. "Perfectly fine. I'll just explain. Sorry I'm late to my first day, Mr. CEO. But Los Angeles personally attacked me this morning." The car beside her inched forward slightly, catching her attention. It was the kind of car that made other cars feel insecure about their life choices. Matte black, low to the ground, probably had buttons inside that Clara couldn't even begin to understand. The kind of car that whispered, "I have more money than your entire apartment building." But it wasn't the car that made Clara's breath catch. It was the driver. He was, well, handsome seemed inadequate. Gorgeous felt like an understatement. Walking piece of art that should be in a museum was getting closer, but still missed the mark. Korean. Mid-30s, maybe. Hair dark and swept back from a face that featured cheekbones sharp enough to be considered weapons. His profile was all clean angles and concentrated focus, his hands wrapped around the steering wheel with a casual confidence that suggested he was used to being in control of everything around him. He was also, Clara noticed, frowning at his phone like it had personally offended him. "Bad day, Mr. Fancy Car," she murmured to herself. Then, because Clara Walkers had never once in her life chosen the sensible option when the chaotic option was available, she did something impulsive. She rolled down her window. "Hey." He didn't look up. "Hey." Mister, I'm too important to notice other humans. Still nothing. Clara huffed. She was not a woman accustomed to being ignored. She was a woman accustomed to commanding attention, holding it hostage, and occasionally demanding ransom. She honked her horn. Once. Twice. 3 times in rapid succession. Finally, he turned his head. And looking at him in profile had been dangerous enough. Looking at him head-on was practically catastrophic. His eyes were dark and assessing, sweeping over her face with the kind of intensity that made Clara forget she had thoughts. Then she remembered she was Clara Walkers, and Clara Walkers did not become speechless over pretty faces. There you are, she called out, leaning slightly out her window with her most charming smile. I was starting to think you were a robot. Do you know your face moves, right? Like, expressions are free. You can have as many as you want. His eyebrow raised. Just one. It was annoyingly attractive. Can I help you? His voice was deep and controlled, with the faintest trace of a Korean accent underlying his perfect English. The kind of voice that could give orders and have them followed without question. Clara felt something flutter in her chest and immediately told it to stop. That depends, she said. Are you having a bad day? Because you look like you're having a bad day. Your phone did something to offend you. My phone is fine. Your face doesn't think your phone is fine. Your face thinks your phone committed treason. His jaw tightened. It was a very nice jaw. Is there a point to this conversation? Does there have to be a point? Can't 2 strangers just bond over traffic? Share our collective misery? Become best friends who never see each other again? We're not going to be best friends. Not with that attitude, we're not. Clara grinned. I'm Clara, by the way. Clara Walkers. Remember that name. I'm going to be famous someday. Famous for accosting strangers in traffic? Among other things. The corner of his mouth twitched. Just barely. Just enough for Clara to see it and feel triumphant. You're very strange, he observed. And you're very pretty, she shot back. We all have our burdens to bear. This time, she definitely saw something flicker in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or amusement. It was hard to tell with the whole statue of emotional unavailability thing he had going on. The traffic inched forward. His fancy car moved slightly ahead, but the red light at the intersection kept them both trapped. Clara had approximately 90 seconds of opportunity remaining, and she was going to use every single one of them. So she said, raising her voice slightly to carry between their windows, I have a proposition for you. No. You don't even know what it is. I don't need to know. The answer is no. Okay, but what if I told you it involved financial security and mutually beneficial arrangements? He turned to look at her again, and this time there was definite suspicion in his expression. What are you talking about? Clara leaned her elbow on her car door, resting her chin in her hand with theatrical contemplation. Well, see, I'm about to start a new job today. Very prestigious internship. Very serious company. And I'm sitting in traffic, which means I'm gonna be late, which means my new boss is probably going to hate me, which means my life is basically over. That sounds like a personal problem. It absolutely is. Which is why I've decided to pivot. New life plan. Forget the career thing. I'm going to find a rich man to take care of me instead. Both his eyebrows rose this time. Is that so? It is. And you, she gestured at his car, his suit, his general aura of expensive, seem like a promising candidate. I'm a promising candidate for what, exactly? Clara smiled her most dazzling smile. The one that showed all her teeth and crinkled the corners of her eyes. The one that had been known to make grown men forget their own names. So, she said sweetly, will you be my sugar daddy? The silence that followed was absolutely delicious. His expression went through approximately 17 different micro-changes in the span of 3 seconds. Shock. Disbelief. Something that might have been outrage if it weren't so carefully controlled. And then, buried beneath all of it, the faintest hint of amusement he was desperately trying to hide. You're asking a complete stranger in traffic to be your sugar daddy. I am. A man you know nothing about. I know you're rich. That's really the only qualification for the position. You're insane. Probably. But I'm also funny, reasonably intelligent, and excellent company. I think those are points in my favor. He stared at her for a long moment. Clara stared back, utterly unrepentant. The answer, he said slowly, is no. Interesting. That's not a hard no. That's a soft no. A soft no is basically a maybe. It is absolutely not a maybe. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Mr. Fancy Car. The light turned green. His engine roared, and his car shot forward with a speed that seemed almost vindictive, leaving Clara laughing in her driver's seat, thoroughly pleased with herself. She'd probably never see him again. But it had been fun. And Clara Walkers was a woman who firmly believed that life was too short not to have fun. Despite the traffic's best efforts, Clara managed to pull into the Kyung Industries parking garage at 9:04 a.m. 4 minutes late. Not catastrophic. Probably not even noticeable. She could work with this. The building itself was magnificent, 47 floors of gleaming glass and steel that dominated the downtown Los Angeles skyline. Kyung Industries had started as a tech company 20 years ago and had since expanded into everything from sustainable energy to luxury real estate. The company was worth billions, and its CEO was famously private, rarely photographed, and rumored to be the most demanding boss in the entire Pacific Rim. Clara had done her research. She knew Luther Kyung was Korean American, had taken over the company from his father 5 years ago, and had tripled its value in that time. She knew he was 34 years old, unmarried, and the subject of approximately 10,000 online fan accounts, despite his aggressive avoidance of public appearances. What she didn't know, what no amount of Googling had revealed, was what he actually looked like. Every photo of him in the media was either blurry, partially obscured, or taken from behind. The man guarded his privacy like it was a matter of national security. Probably ugly, Clara had decided when Naomi asked about it last week. Rich men who hide their faces are always ugly. It's science. Now, striding through the lobby of Kyung Industries, Clara felt the full weight of where she was and what she was about to do. This internship was competitive, over 3,000 applicants for 12 positions. She'd made it through 5 rounds of interviews, a skills assessment, a presentation, and a final review by the executive committee. According to Naomi, the CEO himself had to sign off on all new hires, even interns. Clara had been approved. She was here. And she was only 4 minutes late, which was practically early by LA standards. Clara. She turned to see Naomi Carter striding toward her, impeccable as always in a navy blue pantsuit that made her look like a boss. Her dark hair was pulled back in her signature sleek, low bun, not a single strand out of place. They'd been friends since college, over a decade of shared secrets, bad decisions, and the kind of loyalty that came from seeing each other at their absolute worst and choosing to stick around anyway. "You're late," Naomi said, but she was smiling. "Traffic? Traffic is a war, Naomi. A war I am constantly losing." "Well, you're here now. Come on, orientation starts in 10 minutes, and I want to give you the unofficial tour first." They walked through the lobby together, and Clara tried not to gawk at her surroundings like a tourist. The entire ground floor was an exercise in corporate elegance, marble floors, living walls of greenery, water features that burbled soothingly in corners. A cafe occupied one corner, and a small gallery of modern art lined the far wall. "Okay, so the important stuff," Naomi said as they walked. "The 47th floor is executive territory. CEO, CFO, the board, the people who actually run this place. You won't have much reason to go up there as an intern, but if you do, remember, everyone up there takes themselves extremely seriously. Don't make jokes. Don't be weird. Just deliver whatever you're delivering and leave. I don't know how to not be weird. It's my default setting." Naomi gave her a look. "Learn." Noted. They reached the elevator bank, and Naomi pressed the button for floor 23. "You'll be working in the marketing department. Good people, reasonable hours, lots of creative freedom. Your direct supervisor is James Williams. He's nice. Kind of nervous. Drinks too much coffee. You'll like him." The elevator arrived with a soft chime, and Clara stepped inside. "What about the CEO?" she asked. "Luther Kyung? What's he actually like?" "I tried Googling him, but it's like the man doesn't exist." Naomi's expression flickered, something strange and brief that Clara couldn't quite read. Then it smoothed over into her usual composure. He's intense, Naomi said carefully. Brilliant. Fair, but demanding. He notices everything. And he hates wasting time, so if you ever have to interact with him, be direct. No small talk. No rambling. So basically, be the opposite of everything I naturally am. Exactly. Clara laughed, but Naomi didn't. The elevator stopped on floor 12, and the doors opened to admit another passenger. Clara was looking at her phone, scrolling through the orientation materials Naomi had sent her the night before, so she didn't immediately notice the energy in the elevator shift. But she felt it. Something in the air changed. Became charged. Electric almost, like the moment before a thunderstorm breaks. She looked up, and the world stopped. Standing in the elevator, wearing a designer suit and looking like he'd been carved out of ice and arrogance, was the man from the traffic. Her sugar daddy candidate. Here. In this elevator. Looking directly at her with those dark, unreadable eyes. Oh, Clara said. Her voice came out strangled. Oh no. Good morning, Mr. Kyung, Naomi said smoothly, bowing her head slightly in that professional way she had perfected. I was just showing our new intern to orientation. Mr. Kyung. Mr. Kyung. Luther Kyung. CEO Luther Kyung. The man she had asked, no, propositioned, in traffic not 2 hours ago. Clara's brain went through all 5 stages of grief in approximately 3 seconds. Denial. This can't be happening. Anger. Why is this happening? Bargaining. Maybe he doesn't remember. Depression. He definitely remembers. Acceptance. I am going to die in this elevator. Ms. Walkers, Luther Kyung said, and oh God, he remembered her name. He remembered her name. What a surprise. Mr. Kyung. Her voice came out squeaky. She cleared her throat and tried again. I didn't, you were. You two know each other? Naomi asked, looking between them with confusion. We met briefly, Luther said. His expression was perfectly neutral. Unreadable. Giving absolutely nothing away. In traffic. Traffic, Clara repeated weakly. Yes. Very brief. Very forgettable. I'm sure you've already forgotten. I've already forgotten. Nothing happened. It was very normal. Normal, Luther echoed. Was that amusement in his voice? She couldn't tell. She couldn't tell anything. Her brain had stopped working entirely. The elevator arrived at floor 23, and Clara had never been so grateful for anything in her entire life. This is us, she said, much too loudly, grabbing Naomi's arm. This is our floor. We're going now. Goodbye. Have a great day. Please forget everything I ever said to you. She practically dragged Naomi through the opening doors. What was that? Naomi demanded as soon as they were clear. Nothing. Nothing at all. I have no idea what you're talking about. Clara. Naomi. You're sweating. I'm glistening. It's different. Naomi's eyes narrowed, but the elevator doors had closed, taking Luther Kyung up to whatever floor he was going to, and Clara decided that she would simply never think about this again. She would be professional. She would do her job. She would absolutely, definitely, under no circumstances ever speak to Luther Kyung again unless absolutely required. It was a good plan. It lasted approximately 6 hours. Clara's first day at Kyung Industries was, by all measurable metrics, a disaster. Not because of her work. Her work was excellent. She'd already impressed James Williams with her portfolio review, made friends with 3 other interns, and submitted her first assignment ahead of schedule. No, it was a disaster because Luther Kyung was everywhere. He appeared in the hallway when she was getting coffee. She turned around, and there he was, walking past with a group of executives, not looking at her but somehow making her feel seen anyway. He was in the elevator again when she went down to grab lunch. 23 floors of silence, her pressed against one wall and him pressed against the other, neither of them acknowledging each other, but the air so thick with tension she could barely breathe. He was even in the lobby when she stopped to admire the art gallery, appearing beside her so quietly she nearly jumped out of her skin. You have an interest in contemporary art, he asked, as if they were normal colleagues having a normal conversation, as if she hadn't asked him to be her sugar daddy that very morning. I have an interest in standing still and breathing, Clara replied. The art is just here. He said, which wasn't even a word, and walked away. By 4 in the afternoon, Clara was convinced the universe was personally targeting her. By 5, she was sure of it. Clara. James Williams poked his head into her cubicle. I need you to deliver these reports to the executive floor. Conference room A. The CFO's office requested them urgently. The executive floor, Clara repeated. The 47th floor. The one Naomi told me never to go to. Is that a problem? Yes. Yes, it was a massive problem. It was a problem of catastrophic proportions. But Clara was a professional, and professionals did not explain to their supervisors that they had propositioned the CEO in traffic and were now trying to avoid him for the rest of their natural lives. No problem, she said brightly. I'll go right now. She grabbed the reports and headed for the elevator, giving herself a stern mental lecture the entire way. You are Clara Walkers. You are confident. You are competent. You are not going to be intimidated by some pretty CEO with sharp cheekbones and a voice like dark chocolate. You are going to deliver these reports and leave. That's it. Simple. Easy. You've got this. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. And Clara stepped onto the 47th floor. It was quieter up here. Sleeker. The walls were lined with dark wood paneling, and the carpet was so plush her heels sank into it slightly with every step. Executive assistants sat at elegant desks, speaking in hushed voices, typing on computers. Conference room A was at the end of the hall. Clara could see the glass walls, the long table inside, oh no. He was in there. Luther Kyung was in there. He was alone, standing by the window, looking out at the Los Angeles skyline with his hands clasped behind his back like some kind of corporate painting come to life. Clara considered her options. She could. A. Deliver the reports and leave immediately. B. Leave the reports with an assistant and flee. C. Throw the reports through the door and run. D. Accept her fate and walk in there like the professional she was supposed to be. She chose option A, mostly. She knocked on the glass door, and Luther turned. Reports for the CFO's office, she said, keeping her voice even and professional. I was told to bring them here. You can put them on the table. Clara walked into the conference room. It was enormous, easily large enough to seat 20 people, with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a panoramic view of the city. The table was dark mahogany, the chairs were leather, and everything about it screamed important decisions are made here. She placed the reports at the head of the table and turned to leave. Ms. Walkers. She stopped, closed her eyes briefly, turned back around. Yes, Mr. Kyung? He was looking at her now. Really looking, with those dark eyes that seemed to see everything and reveal nothing. About this morning. There's nothing to discuss, Clara said quickly. It was a joke. A stupid joke. I make stupid jokes when I'm stressed. It's a character flaw. I'm working on it. Are you? Very diligently. Joke reduction therapy. It's a whole program. That twitch at the corner of his mouth again. So brief she might have imagined it. You're not what I expected, he said. Expected from what? The 3,000 other applicants? I'm told I ranked highly in the chaotic energy category. From your application. Your interviews. Your portfolio. He took a step closer, and Clara's heart rate spiked traitorously. You presented yourself as serious. Focused. Professional. I am all of those things. And yet I also have a personality, yes. It's complicated. Multiple facets. Like a diamond, but with worse decision-making skills. He was close now. Close enough that she could see the faint variations in his dark eyes, could smell whatever expensive cologne he wore, could feel the warmth radiating off him despite his cold demeanor. You're bold, he observed. Most interns can barely look me in the eye. Most interns didn't accidentally proposition you in traffic. Is that what that was? Accidental. Clara met his gaze, refusing to be the first one to look away. No, it was intentional. Intentionally stupid. There's a difference. Something flickered in his expression. Something almost like respect. I'm going to be watching you, Ms. Walkers. That sounds vaguely threatening. It's not meant to be. And yet, The air between them was charged now. Electric. Clara could feel it humming against her skin, could see something shift in Luther's eyes as the silence stretched on. He took another step forward. She didn't step back. "You're not afraid of me," he said quietly. "Should I be? Most people are." "I'm not most people." "No." His voice dropped. "You're definitely not." His phone rang. The sound shattered the moment like glass, and Luther stepped back, pulling the device from his pocket with a frown. "I need to take this," he said, and his voice was back to its professional coolness, all trace of whatever had just happened between them gone. "Of course." Clara's voice was steadier than she felt. "The reports are on the table. I'll just go back to my floor, where I work, which is not here." She was already halfway to the door when his voice stopped her one more time. "Ms. Walkers." She turned. "Yes. Don't make a habit of flirting with strangers in traffic. The next one might not be as forgiving as I am." Clara smiled despite herself. "Mr. Kyung, if you think you're forgiving, I'd hate to see you when you're holding a grudge." She left before he could respond. But she could have sworn, absolutely sworn, that she heard him laugh. The first month at Kyung Industries passed in a blur of work, coffee, and strategic Luther Kyung avoidance. Clara threw herself into her projects with the kind of dedication that bordered on obsessive, determined to prove that she deserved to be here for reasons beyond her ability to embarrass herself spectacularly in front of the CEO. And it was working. Her campaigns were getting noticed. James Williams had started including her in senior meetings. Other departments were requesting her specifically for collaborations. But there was a problem. The problem's name was Soomin Park, and she was Luther Kyung's executive assistant. Clara had first encountered Soomin during week 2, when she'd been sent to the executive floor again. Apparently, this was just her life now, with more documents. The woman had been standing outside Luther's office like a sentinel, all razor-sharp posture and cold, assessing eyes. Her black hair was cut in a severe bob that accentuated the angular planes of her face, and her suit was so crisp it looked like it could stand up on its own. "You're the new marketing intern," Soomin had said. Not a question. A statement. "Clara Walkers. Nice to meet you. Those documents." Soomin had extended her hand without any additional pleasantries. "I'll take them. I was told to give them directly to Mr. Kyung. Mr. Kyung is busy. All documents go through me." Clara had handed over the folder, but something about the way Soomin looked at her had made her uneasy. Like she was being measured and found wanting. The feeling had only intensified over the following weeks. Every time Clara had to interact with the executive floor, Soomin was there. Watching. Assessing. Making little comments that were technically professional, but somehow felt like criticisms wrapped in silk. "Your reports would be more efficient if you used the standard formatting. Mr. Kyung prefers documents without colored graphs. In the future, please submit requests 48 hours in advance." It was exhausting. "She hates me," Clara told Naomi during one of their lunch breaks. "She absolutely, definitely hates me." Naomi stirred her soup thoughtfully. "Soomin doesn't hate anyone. She's just protective. She's been Luther's assistant for 6 years. Basically runs his professional life. She's probably just trying to establish boundaries. By making me feel like I'm committing a crime every time I deliver paperwork? She does that to everyone." "Does she, though?" "Because I feel specifically targeted." Naomi reached across the table and squeezed Clara's hand. "You're being paranoid. Soomin is intense, but she's not malicious. Just focus on your work. You're doing amazing." Clara wanted to believe her. She really did. But she couldn't shake the feeling that every time she saw Soomin, she was being watched for weaknesses. 3 months into her internship, Clara received the email that changed everything. All Kyung Industries employees are invited to attend the annual autumn gala. Formal attire required. Partners welcome. The gala, Clara said to Naomi over coffee. "That sounds fancy. Also terrifying. What do I wear? Something elegant. Something that says, I belong here." The gala is a networking opportunity, but it's also a chance to make an impression on the executives. Naomi smiled. "I'll help you pick something. We can go shopping this weekend." That Saturday, they hit the boutiques of Beverly Hills. Clara tried on approximately 47 dresses before Naomi finally approved one, a stunning sunset orange gown that hugged her curves perfectly, with a high slit that showed just enough leg to be interesting without being inappropriate. "You look incredible," Naomi said, and her voice sounded strange, almost wistful. "Luther won't be able to take his eyes off you." Clara laughed. "Luther? Since when do you call him Luther?" "Since I've worked here for 4 years and earned the right to be casual in private conversations." Naomi's smile was back to normal. "But seriously, Clara, you're going to turn heads." The night of the gala, Clara felt like she was walking into a different world. The venue was a converted warehouse in the arts district, all exposed brick and crystal chandeliers, the kind of place that managed to be industrial and elegant simultaneously. Hundreds of Kyung Industries employees mingled beneath twinkling lights, their laughter and conversation creating a sophisticated hum of sound. Clara found Naomi near the bar, looking stunning in a coffee-brown gown that set off her skin beautifully. "You clean up nice," Clara said. "Speak for yourself." "That orange is doing things." They grabbed champagne and made the rounds, Naomi introducing Clara to department heads and senior executives whose names she immediately forgot. Clara smiled, shook hands, said all the right things, and tried not to scan the room for a particular pair of dark eyes. She failed. She spotted him across the venue, surrounded by a group of what looked like investors or board members. He was wearing a black tuxedo that fit him so perfectly it should have been illegal, his hair swept back in that effortlessly elegant way, his expression its usual mask of professional politeness. Then, as if he felt her looking, he turned his head. Their eyes met across the crowded room. Clara felt her breath catch. He excused himself from his conversation and started walking toward her. "He's coming over," Naomi murmured. "Play it cool." "I don't know how to play it cool. I only know how to play it hot mess." "Then figure it out fast." But it was too late. Luther Kyung was standing in front of her, and Clara's brain was doing that thing again where it forgot how words worked. "Ms. Walkers." He inclined his head. "Ms. Carter. You both look lovely this evening." "Mr. Kyung." Naomi's voice was perfectly professional. "Wonderful gala. The venue choice this year is exceptional. I'll pass your compliments to the planning committee." Clara still hadn't spoken. She was too busy trying not to stare at the way his tuxedo emphasized his shoulders, the way the low lighting caught the angles of his face, the way he was looking at her like what? "Ms. Walkers." His attention was fully on her now. "Would you do me the honor of a dance?" Clara blinked. "A dance? It's a gala. There's music. Dancing is customary." "I know what a dance is." "Then why do you look so confused?" "Because you're asking me." "Was I supposed to ask someone else?" Naomi nudged her hard in the ribs. "I would love to," Clara said quickly. "Dance. With you." "Yes." She handed her champagne to Naomi, whose expression was unreadable, and let Luther lead her toward the dance floor. The music was slow and elegant, something classical she didn't recognize. Luther's hand settled on the small of her back, warm even through the fabric of her dress, and Clara felt electricity spark from every point of contact. "You're tense," he observed. "I'm dancing with my CEO at a company function. Some tension is warranted." "You weren't this tense when you propositioned me in traffic." Clara nearly stumbled, but his hand tightened, steadying her effortlessly. "That was different." "How so?" "I didn't know you were my boss. I thought you were just some random rich guy." "Just some random rich guy," he repeated, and there was definitely amusement in his voice now. "Is that better or worse?" "Better," Clara admitted. "Random rich guys have no power over my career trajectory. And I do. You're literally the CEO. And yet you're not treating me like it." Clara looked up at him then, really looked, and found him watching her with an intensity that made her mouth go dry. "Do you want me to treat you like it?" she asked. "Because I can do that. I can be professional and boring and say things like, 'Yes, sir, and of course, Mr. Kyung,' and pretend I don't have a personality." "Don't." The word was soft. Quiet. Almost intimate. "Don't what?" "Don't pretend you don't have a personality." His thumb moved against her back, the smallest motion that sent shivers down her spine. "It's refreshing." Most people are careful around me. Measured. You're chaotic? Honest. Clara swallowed. That's not what most people call it. Most people aren't paying attention. The music swelled and Luther pulled her closer. Close enough that she could feel his breath on her temple, could smell the subtle spice of his cologne, could feel the heat radiating off his body. Mr. Kyung. Luther. Her heart stumbled. What? My name. When we're not in the office, you can call me Luther. That feels dangerous. Everything about you feels dangerous, Ms. Walkers. Clara. He smiled. Actually, genuinely smiled. It transformed his entire face, made him look younger, warmer, almost approachable. Clara, he repeated, like he was tasting the word. I like that. I like your smile, she said without thinking. You should do it more often. The smile faded slightly, but his eyes stayed warm. I'm not in the habit of smiling. That's sad. It's practical. CEOs who smile too much aren't taken seriously. CEOs who never smile are thought to be robots. I should know. I thought you were a robot when we first met. In traffic. In traffic. When you asked me to be your sugar daddy. Clara groaned. We're never going to move past that, are we? I don't think so, no. His smile was back, smaller, but no less genuine. It's too entertaining. The music began to fade, the song coming to its end, and Clara felt a pang of disappointment she had no right to feel. Thank you for the dance, Luther said, stepping back but not releasing her hand. I look forward to seeing more of your work, Clara. Thank you for not firing me for the traffic incident. The night is young. She laughed, and something flickered in his eyes, something warm and surprised and interested. Then he was gone, disappearing back into the crowd of executives and investors, and Clara was left standing on the dance floor with a racing heart and the distinct feeling that she was in very, very deep trouble. After the gala, something shifted between them. Clara couldn't explain it, couldn't point to any one moment or conversation that marked the change. But suddenly, Luther Kyung was present in her life in ways that went beyond accidental elevator encounters. He started showing up in the marketing department. Reviewing the quarterly projections, he'd say, but his eyes would find Clara's across the room. He requested her specifically for projects that seemed too senior for an intern. She has a unique perspective, he told James Williams. I want her input. He lingered after meetings, finding reasons to exchange a few words with her. Small things. Insignificant things. Comments about her presentations, questions about her ideas, observations about the weather that led nowhere but felt like everything. And Clara, despite every ounce of common sense she possessed, lingered too. It was during one of these lingering moments that the second almost kiss happened. Clara had been working late, finishing a presentation for a client pitch the next morning. The office was empty, the cleaning crew gone, the silence so complete she could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights above her head. She hadn't heard him approach. You're here late. Clara jumped, nearly knocking over her coffee. Luther was standing in the doorway of her cubicle, tie loosened, top button undone, looking more human than she'd ever seen him. I could say the same about you. I own the building. I'm allowed to be here. And I'm finishing a presentation. What's your excuse? He didn't answer. Just looked at her with those dark, unfathomable eyes. The pitch tomorrow, he said finally. The Mercer account. You know about that? I know about everything that happens in my company. That's either impressive or terrifying. Why not both? He stepped into her cubicle, and suddenly the space felt very small. Very intimate. Very much like a place where professional boundaries could get blurred. Your work is exceptional, he said. James shows me everything you produce. You have an instinct for this, for understanding what clients need before they know they need it. Thank you. Clara's voice was steady, but her heart was not. That means a lot coming from you. Does it? You're the CEO. Your approval carries weight. And if I weren't the CEO? If I were just some random rich guy? He moved closer. Would my approval still mean something? Clara looked up at him. He was so close now. So impossibly close. Yes, she whispered. It would mean more. The air between them crackled. Luther raised his hand, and for one heart-stopping moment, Clara thought he was going to touch her face. His fingers hovered beside her cheek, close enough that she could feel the warmth of them, close enough that she stopped breathing entirely. Clara. Luther. The elevator down the hall dinged. They sprang apart as footsteps echoed across the floor, the security guard doing his rounds, unaware of what he'd interrupted. "I should go," Luther said, and his voice was rough in a way Clara hadn't heard before. "You should finish your presentation." "Right." "Yes. Presentation. Finishing." He paused at the edge of her cubicle. Looked back. "Good night, Clara." "Good night, Luther." He left. Clara sat in her chair for a very long time, staring at her computer screen without seeing it, wondering what would have happened if that elevator hadn't dinged. The first rumor appeared 2 weeks later. Clara didn't know where it started, couldn't trace it back to any particular source, but suddenly it was everywhere. Whispers in the break room. Sidelong glances in the elevator. Conversations that stopped abruptly when she walked by. "Did you hear about the intern? The one who flirts with the CEO? I heard she got her position through connections." "Of course she did. Look at her. She doesn't belong here." Clara tried to ignore it. Told herself it didn't matter, that her work spoke for itself, that people always talked and there was nothing she could do about it. But it got worse. Someone sent an anonymous email to HR claiming Clara had fabricated parts of her portfolio. An investigation was launched. She was cleared within days, her work was authentic, her credentials legitimate, but the damage was done. People looked at her differently now. Suspiciously. Then the photos appeared. Blurry screenshots from the gala, showing Luther and Clara dancing. Screenshots of them standing together at a company meeting. Screenshots that, taken out of context, suggested something unprofessional was happening between them. Clara found the photos printed and taped to her cubicle wall one morning, like a warning. "What is this?" she demanded to no one in particular, ripping them down. "Probably someone who doesn't like seeing an intern get special treatment," Suman said from behind her. Clara spun around to find Luther's assistant watching her with those cold, assessing eyes. "The CEO's spending so much time with you, it raises questions." "There's nothing going on." "Isn't there?" "No. There isn't." Suman's smile was thin and sharp. "Then you have nothing to worry about." She walked away, and Clara felt the suspicion she'd been harboring about the woman crystallize into certainty. Suman Park was behind this. She had to be. The coldness, the criticism, the constant surveillance, it all added up. Clara needed proof. "I'm telling you, it's her," Clara said to Naomi over drinks that weekend. "Suman hates me. She's been watching me like a hawk since day one, and now suddenly all these rumors start? It can't be a coincidence." Naomi frowned, swirling her wine thoughtfully. "That's a big accusation, Clara. Suman has worked for Luther for 6 years. She's never had a single complaint filed against her. First time for everything. You need proof before you accuse anyone. If you're wrong." "I'm not wrong. But if you are, accusing the CEO's personal assistant of sabotage will end your career. Immediately. Publicly." Naomi's hand found hers, squeezing gently. "I'm on your side, Clara. I've always been on your side. But you need to be smart about this." Clara sighed, some of the fight draining out of her. "You're right. I know you're right. I've worked so hard, Naomi. Everything I've achieved here, I've earned. And someone is trying to take that away from me. We'll figure out who. Together." Naomi's smile was warm and reassuring. "Best friends since freshman year, remember? I'm not going anywhere." Clara hugged her, grateful beyond words for the one person she knew she could trust absolutely. 3 weeks later, on the rooftop of Kyung Industries, Clara had discovered the access stairwell by accident, a door that should have been locked but wasn't, leading up to a garden terrace that overlooked the city. She went there sometimes after late nights, letting the cool air and distant lights clear her head. She didn't expect to find Luther there. But there he was, standing at the railing, looking out at the Los Angeles skyline with an expression she'd never seen on him before. Sad. He looked sad. "Mr. Kyung?" He turned, and the sadness vanished behind his usual mask. "Ms. Walkers. I didn't realize anyone else knew about this place. I found it by accident. She hesitated. I can leave if you want to be alone. No. Stay. It wasn't a request. It was barely even a question. But something about his voice made Clara's feet move toward him instead of away. She joined him at the railing. The city sprawled beneath them, all glittering lights and distant sirens, beautiful in the way that only complicated things could be. Rough night? She asked. Rough quarter. The board wants changes I'm not ready to make. Investors want returns I can't promise. Everyone wants something. And what do you want? He turned to look at her. She shook her head. Not until I have proof. I'm trying to be smart about it. That's very restrained for you. I know. It's exhausting. He laughed, actually laughed, warm and genuine, and Clara felt something in her chest expand at the sound. You're good at this, he said. At what? Making me feel normal. Human. Like I'm not just a title and a net worth. You're not. You're a person. A person with excellent bone structure and questionable taste in traffic conversation partners, but a person nonetheless. You're never going to let me forget the traffic incident. You're never going to let me forget it. Fair point. They were facing each other now, the railing forgotten, the city lights casting shadows across their faces. Luther reached out, and this time his fingers did touch her cheek, brushing a strand of hair back from her face with impossible gentleness. Clara, he murmured. Luther. I shouldn't be doing this. I know. You work for me. I know. This is completely inappropriate. I know. But I can't seem to stop thinking about you. Clara's heart was pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it. The feeling is mutual. He leaned closer. She rose on her toes. The distance between them was measured in inches, then centimeters then. Mr. Kyung? A voice echoed from the stairwell. Mr. Kyung, are you up there? You have a call from Tokyo. Luther pulled back, his jaw tight with frustration. I have to go, he said. I know. This isn't over. Clara smiled despite herself. I didn't think it was. He left, following the voice down the stairs, and Clara stayed on the rooftop for another hour, replaying every moment until she had it memorized. 6 months into her internship, Clara was called into a meeting with Human Resources. We've received some concerns, the HR representative said, her expression carefully neutral. About your relationship with Mr. Kyung. Clara felt ice form in her stomach. What kind of concerns? Allegations that your promotions and project assignments have been influenced by personal favoritism rather than professional merit. That's not true. We have to investigate all claims. Standard procedure. The representative slid a folder across the table. These are the specific allegations. I'll need you to provide documentation supporting your work history and any evidence that contradicts these claims. Clara opened the folder. Read the allegations. Felt the ice in her stomach spread through her entire body. Someone had been thorough. They'd documented every interaction between her and Luther. Every meeting. Every lingering glance. Every late night in the office when they'd supposedly been alone together. The implications were clear. Clara Walkers was sleeping her way to success. This is lies, Clara said, her voice shaking. All of it. I've earned every opportunity I've been given. Then prove it. Clara proved it. She spent the next 2 weeks compiling evidence, performance reviews, project outcomes, email chains showing her work process. She had her colleagues submit statements about her contributions. She documented every hour she'd worked, every idea she'd generated, every success she'd achieved. The investigation cleared her completely. But the damage was done. People still whispered. People still stared. People still wondered. And somewhere, someone was watching. Waiting. Planning their next move. Clara cornered Sumin in the executive bathroom. It wasn't her proudest moment. It definitely wasn't professional. But 6 months of rumors and investigations and suspicious looks had worn her down to her breaking point, and she needed answers. It's you, Clara said, blocking the door. You're the one behind all of this. Sumin's expression didn't flicker. I have no idea what you're talking about. The rumors. The photos. The HR investigation. You've been sabotaging me since day one. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. Can you prove it? Clara hesitated. She couldn't. That was the problem. All her suspicions, all her certainty, and she had nothing concrete. Nothing that would stand up to scrutiny. Suman smiled, thin and cold and victorious. That's what I thought, she said. Ms. Walkers, I understand you're under a lot of pressure. The stress of your position, the scrutiny of your relationship with Mr. Kyung. But accusing innocent people without evidence is not the way to handle it. I know it was you. You know nothing. Suman stepped forward, close enough that Clara could see the ice in her eyes. But let me give you some advice. Leave. Resign. Find another company where you can pursue your ambitions without complication. Because if you stay here, things are only going to get worse. Is that a threat? It's a prediction. Suman pushed past her and walked out, leaving Clara alone with her frustration and her certainty and her complete lack of proof. You confronted her? Naomi looked horrified. Clara, what were you thinking? I was thinking she's been trying to destroy my career for 6 months. You have no proof. I have instincts. Instincts aren't evidence. Naomi ran her hands over her face, disturbing her usually perfect bun. God, Clara. If she reports this, if she tells Luther, let her tell him. I'll explain myself. And say what? Sorry I cornered your assistant in the bathroom and accused her of conspiracy. Naomi's voice was harsh, but Clara could hear the worry beneath it. You're not thinking clearly. You're too emotionally involved. Because I'm being targeted. I know. I believe you. Naomi's hands found Clara's, squeezing tight. But we need to do this right. No more confrontations. No more accusations. We gather evidence. Quietly. Carefully. And when we have enough, we take it to someone who can actually do something about it. Clara took a breath. Let it out slowly. Okay, she said finally. Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm so tired, Naomi. I'm tired of fighting and not knowing who the enemy is. I know. Naomi pulled her into a hug. But you're not alone. You have me. You've always had me. Clara held on tight, grateful beyond words for her best friend. She didn't see the expression that flickered across Naomi's face. If she had, she might have recognized it. But she didn't. And so she missed the flash of something cold. Something calculated. Something that looked nothing like friendship. Luther Kyung did something unprecedented. He took a vacation. More specifically, he invited Clara to join him at his cabin in Big Sur for a long weekend. Privately. Secretly. Away from the office and the whispers and the constant scrutiny. I shouldn't, Clara said when he asked. I know. It's completely inappropriate. I know. If anyone found out. No one will find out. He was standing in her doorway, closer than he should have been, his eyes soft in a way that made her forget all her objections. I need to get away, Clara. And I want you to come with me. She went. The cabin was beautiful, all warm wood and stone fireplaces, nestled in a grove of redwoods with views of the Pacific Ocean in the distance. It was isolated, private, the kind of place where the rest of the world felt very far away. For 2 days, they existed outside of reality. They really talked about their childhoods and their dreams and their fears. They cooked together, laughed together, went on long walks through the forest where Luther held her hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. They didn't kiss. They came close, God, they came close, but something always stopped them. A phone call. A timer going off. The sudden awareness that what they were doing was complicated and potentially devastating, and that once they crossed that line, there would be no going back. On the last night, sitting on the porch with wine and the sound of the ocean in the distance, Luther finally said the words that had been hanging between them for months. I'm falling in love with you. Clara's breath caught. Luther. Don't. He held up a hand. Don't tell me why it can't work. Don't tell me about professional boundaries or office politics or the rumors that will never fully go away. I know all of that. I've told myself all of that. And it doesn't matter. It has to matter. Why? Because you're the CEO and I'm an intern and people are already talking and I don't care. He turned to face her, his expression fierce with an emotion she'd never seen from him before. Clara, I have spent my entire life caring what people think. Making decisions based on expectations and obligations and what was appropriate. And I'm tired. I'm so goddamn tired of putting everyone else first. What about your company? Your reputation? What about my happiness? His voice cracked, just slightly. Don't I get to have that too? Clara didn't have an answer. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to tell him that happiness was the only thing that mattered, that love was worth any risk, that she felt the same way and nothing else in the world came close. But she learned, over the past 6 months, that wanting something didn't make it simple. I need time, she said finally. To think. To figure out what I actually want, separate from what I feel when I'm with you. Is there a difference? I don't know. That's why I need time. Luther nodded slowly. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. They drove back to Los Angeles the next morning, and Clara returned to her apartment with a head full of questions and a heart full of something terrifying. Something that felt a lot like hope. The photos appeared on Monday. Clara walked into the office to find everyone staring at her. Not the suspicious stares she'd grown accustomed to over the past months. Something different. Something worse. Pity. Horror. Disgust. Clara. James Williams intercepted her before she could reach her cubicle. His face was pale. You should go home. What? Why? What happened? Just go home. Don't look at the email. But Clara's phone was already buzzing. Messages from colleagues, from acquaintances, from numbers she didn't recognize. All of them containing the same thing. Photos. Photos of Clara and Luther at the cabin. Photos of them on the porch, his hand in hers. Photos of them walking through the forest, her head on his shoulder. Photos that, edited just slightly, cropped just carefully, made their innocent weekend look like something sordid and scandalous. And worse, screenshots. Screenshots of text messages supposedly from Clara's phone, discussing how she was using Luther to advance her career, laughing about how easy he was to manipulate, bragging about her strategy to sleep her way to the top. Fake. All of it was fake. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. The entire company had seen it. The entire industry would see it by the end of the day. Clara's career was over. Who sent this? She demanded, her voice shaking. Where did this come from? We don't know, James said. IT is trying to trace it, but... Clara didn't wait to hear the rest. She ran. Clara went to the only person she could trust. Naomi lived in a sleek apartment in Koreatown, all clean lines and modern furniture. Clara had been there 100 times before, for movie nights and wine sessions and the kind of conversations that lasted until 3 in the morning. This time, she came with tears streaming down her face and her world in ruins. It was Sumin, Clara sobbed as Naomi held her. It had to be Sumin. She must have had us followed. She must have. Shh. It's okay. Naomi's voice was soothing, her hands gentle as she stroked Clara's hair. We'll figure this out. We always do. My career is over, Naomi. Everything I worked for. Everything I earned. Gone. It's not gone. We'll clear your name. We'll prove the screenshots were fake. We'll. Clara's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check Naomi's laptop. Second drawer of her desk. Password, Luther K 2019. Clara stared at the message. What is it? Naomi asked. Nothing. Just another nasty message. But something cold had started to spread through Clara's chest. Something that felt like suspicion but couldn't possibly be that, because Naomi was her best friend. Naomi had been by her side through everything. Naomi would never. Can I use your bathroom? Clara asked, her voice carefully steady. Of course. You know where it is. Clara went to the bathroom. Locked the door. Splashed water on her face. Then she walked to Naomi's home office. The laptop was exactly where the text had said it would be. Clara's hands were shaking as she typed in the password, a password that should have meant nothing, that should have been random, but wasn't. Luther K 2019. The year Naomi had started working at Kyung Industries. The computer unlocked. And Clara's entire world fell apart. Folders. Dozens of folders. Photos of Clara and Luther. Screenshots of company emails. Draft documents that outlined rumors to spread, allegations to file, evidence to fabricate. A timeline stretching back to Clara's very first day, documenting every interaction between her and Luther, noting every opportunity for sabotage. And in the center of the desktop, a single document titled Operation Clara. Clara opened it. Goal: remove Clara Walkers from Kyung Industries and Luther Kyung's life by any means necessary. Background: Luther Kyung has been the subject of my attention for 4 years. I have positioned myself as his closest friend at the company, attending every event, anticipating every need, waiting for him to see me as more than a colleague. Then Clara arrived. In 3 months, she accomplished what I couldn't in 4 years. She made him smile. She made him laugh. She made him look at her like she was the only person in the room. This cannot be allowed to continue. Strategy: position Sumin Park as the obvious suspect. Document her coldness toward Clara, her suspicious behavior, her proximity to the sabotage. When Clara inevitably accuses Sumin, she will look paranoid, vindictive, unhinged. Her credibility will be destroyed before she ever thinks to look at me. Meanwhile, I will be her confidant, her shoulder to cry on, the friend who believes her when no one else does. By the time she realizes the truth, it will be too late. Luther will be mine. He was always supposed to be mine. Clara couldn't breathe. She read the document again and again, trying to find some explanation, some alternate interpretation, some way this wasn't what it obviously was. But there was no denying it. Naomi Carter, her best friend, her ride or die, the woman she'd trusted more than anyone in the world, had been destroying her from the very beginning. The bathroom door opened. Clara looked up. Naomi stood in the doorway, and for the first time, Clara saw the real woman behind the mask. The coldness in her eyes. The calculation in her smile. The complete absence of anything resembling remorse. "Well," Naomi said softly, "I wondered how long it would take you to figure it out." Clara stood slowly, her legs unsteady beneath her. "For years," she said. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears. "Hollow. You've been at that company for 4 years. 4 years, 3 months, and 11 days. Naomi's voice was conversational, as if they were discussing the weather. "I've been in love with Luther since the moment I saw him. That first company meeting, when he walked in wearing that charcoal gray suit and looked at the room like he owned it. Because he did. He owned everything. He never noticed you? Oh, he noticed me. He promoted me. Praised my work. Gave me bonuses and awards and opportunities." Naomi's laugh was bitter. "But he never looked at me. Not the way he looks at you. Naomi, do you know what it's like?" Naomi stepped closer, and Clara saw the years of resentment burning in her eyes. To be invisible? To be competent and reliable and there, always there, and have it mean nothing? I did everything right. I was perfect. And then you with your chaos and your jokes and your complete inability to follow rules, you walk in and take him from me in 3 months. I didn't take him from you. He was never yours. He should have been." The mask cracked completely now, revealing something raw and wounded beneath. "I earned him, Clara. I put in the time, the effort, the work. And you just stumbled into his life and made him fall in love with you like it was easy. Like it was nothing. Love isn't something you earn, Naomi. It's not a promotion or a performance review. You can't just work hard enough and expect it to happen. I know that now." Naomi's voice echoed off the walls. "I know it now because I've spent 4 years learning it the hard way. Watching him date women who didn't deserve him. Watching him stay single because none of them were good enough. Waiting. Always waiting." She took another step, and Clara backed up until she hit the desk. "And then you," Naomi continued, her voice dropping to something almost gentle. "My best friend. My roommate from college. The girl who used to cry on my shoulder about bad dates and worse jobs. Suddenly, you're the one he wants. You're the one he takes to cabin weekends and rooftop conversations. You're the one he can't stop looking at. So you decided to destroy me. I decided to remove an obstacle." Naomi shrugged like they were discussing office supplies. "Nothing personal." "Nothing personal?" Clara's voice rose. You've been sabotaging my career for 6 months. You framed me. You made everyone think you destroyed my reputation. I gave you chances to leave. Multiple chances. If you'd just resigned, just walked away, none of this would have been necessary. I shouldn't have had to resign. I earned my place at that company. And I earned Luther. But we don't always get what we deserve, do we? They stared at each other across the room, years of friendship shattered between them like broken glass. I trusted you, Clara whispered. I told you everything. About Luther, about my feelings, about my suspicions about Suman. And you used all of it. That's what trust is for. Naomi's smile was sharp-edged and wrong. Opening doors. You're insane. I'm focused. There's a difference. Naomi pulled out her phone. Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go back to your apartment and pack your things. Tomorrow morning, you're going to submit your resignation. You're going to tell everyone that the pressure got to be too much, that you need to focus on yourself, whatever cliché feels most authentic. And then you're going to disappear. And if I don't? Then I release the rest of the photos. Naomi scrolled through her phone, turning the screen toward Clara. The ones from inside the cabin. The ones that show exactly what you and Luther did when you thought you were alone. Clara's blood went cold. You had cameras inside. I had cameras everywhere. I've been planning this for months, Clara. Did you really think I'd leave anything to chance? Clara looked at the photos on Naomi's phone. Private moments. Intimate moments. Moments that were innocent but could be made to look devastating in the wrong context. Her entire future was in Naomi's hands. And Naomi knew it. Make the smart choice, Naomi said softly. For once in your life, choose pragmatism over chaos. Walk away. Let him go. Find someone else to love who isn't already spoken for. He's not spoken for. Not by you. Not by anyone. He will be. Once you're gone, once he realizes you used him and betrayed him and were never the person he thought you were, he'll need someone to pick up the pieces. Naomi's smile was almost kind. And I'll be there. Like I've always been there. Clara made her choice. No. Naomi's smile faltered. No. I'm not resigning. I'm not disappearing. And I'm definitely not letting you have him. Then I release the photos. Release them. Clara straightened her spine, met Naomi's eyes without flinching. Release all of them. Let the whole world see what happened in that cabin. Let them see Luther holding my hand and looking at me like I hung the moon. Let them see something real, something honest, something you could never give him no matter how many years you waited. You'll be ruined. Maybe. But I'll be ruined for the truth. I'd rather be destroyed by honesty than saved by your lies. Naomi stared at her. You're bluffing. Try me. The standoff lasted an eternity. Seconds that stretched into minutes, neither woman willing to look away. Then Clara's phone rang. Luther's name on the screen. Clara answered without breaking eye contact with Naomi. Luther. Clara. His voice was urgent, worried. I saw the photos. The screenshots. I know they're fake. I know you would never. Are you okay? Where are you? I'm at Naomi's apartment. Silence. Then, carefully, Clara, come to my office. Now. There's something you need to see. Luther was waiting for her when she arrived. He stood from his desk as she entered, crossing the room in 3 quick strides to pull her into his arms. Clara let herself be held, let herself soak in his warmth and his strength, let herself believe for just a moment that everything might actually be okay. I'm sorry, he murmured into her hair. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you better. You didn't know. I should have known. I'm the CEO. It's my job to know everything that happens in my company. Clara pulled back to look at him. Luther, Naomi. I know. His jaw was tight. Come. I need to show you something. He led her to his computer, where Suman Park was waiting with an expression that was almost apologetic. Ms. Walters, Suman said, I owe you an apology. Clara blinked. What? I knew something was wrong. I've known for months that someone was sabotaging you, but I couldn't identify who. Every lead I followed pointed to me. I was being framed, and I knew it, but I couldn't prove it. Then why were you so cold to me? Because I needed you to suspect me. Sumin's expression was uncomfortable, like admitting failure was physically painful for her. If whoever was behind this thought they had successfully planted me as the obvious villain, they'd get careless. They'd make mistakes. I was watching and waiting for those mistakes. And you found them? I found them. Sumin pulled up security footage on the computer screen. Clara watched as Naomi, unmistakably Naomi, caught on camera she clearly didn't know existed, planted photos in Clara's cubicle. Accessed restricted personnel files. Sent anonymous emails from a burner account. We have everything, Luther said quietly. Timestamps, IP addresses, financial records showing she purchased surveillance equipment. It's comprehensive. Clara watched her best friend's betrayal play out in high definition and felt something in her chest crack open. Why didn't you tell me? She asked Sumin, if you knew. Because you would have confronted her. And she would have disappeared, covered her tracks, walked away clean. Sumin's eyes were steady. This way, we have evidence. Real evidence. She's not walking away from anything. Clara turned to Luther. What happens now? She's being arrested as we speak. Fraud, cyberstalking, harassment. The charges are extensive. His hand found hers, squeezed gently. It's over, Clara. It's finally over. Clara wanted to believe him. But some wounds couldn't be healed that easily. The next few weeks were chaos. Naomi was arrested, her crimes made public, and suddenly Clara went from villain to victim in the court of public opinion. Journalists wanted interviews. Colleagues who had whispered about her now fell over themselves to apologize. Clara retreated. She took a leave of absence from work, holed up in her apartment, and tried to process everything that had happened. Luther gave her space. He texted every day, short, simple messages that asked for nothing but offered everything. Thinking of you. No pressure. I'm here when you're ready. The rooftop misses you. So do I. It took 3 weeks for Clara to be ready. She texted him on a Tuesday afternoon. Can we talk? Name the place. The rooftop. He was waiting for her when she arrived. The Los Angeles skyline was spread out below them, city lights just beginning to flicker on as the sun set over the Pacific. The air smelled like jasmine and possibility. Hi, Clara said. Hi, Luther replied. They stood in silence for a moment, the space between them heavy with everything that had happened and everything that might come next. I'm sorry, Luther said finally. For all of it. If I hadn't. Don't. Clara stepped closer to him. Don't apologize for something that wasn't your fault. But if we hadn't gotten close, then I never would have known her true character. I would have gone through life trusting someone who didn't deserve it. Clara reached out, took his hand. What happened was her choice. Her obsession. Not yours. Still. His thumb traced circles on her palm. I hate that she hurt you. That I couldn't protect you. You can't protect me from everything, Luther. I wouldn't want you to. She smiled, just slightly. I can handle myself. I've been handling myself long before you came along with your fancy car and your complete inability to smile. I smile now. Do you? When I'm with you. His eyes were soft, vulnerable in a way she'd rarely seen. You make me want to smile, Clara. You make me want a lot of things I'd given up on. Like what? Like happiness. Like partnership. Like someone to share the rooftop with. He turned to face her fully, taking both her hands in his. I'm not good at this. At feelings. At vulnerability. But I meant what I said at the cabin. I'm falling in love with you. I'm probably already there. And I know the timing is terrible and you've been through hell, and the last thing you need is more complications, but... Clara kissed him. Not a tentative kiss. Not a questioning kiss. A kiss that said everything words couldn't, that poured 6 months of tension and longing and almost moments into a single point of contact. Luther's hands came up to cup her face, angling her closer, and Clara melted into him like she'd been waiting her whole life for this exact moment. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. I take it that's a yes, Luther said, slightly dazed. That's a finally, Clara corrected. That's a we've been interrupted by phones and security guards and our own stupid professional boundaries too many times, and I refuse to wait another second. That's a very specific interpretation of a kiss. I'm a very specific kind of woman. Luther laughed, that warm, genuine laugh she loved so much, and kissed her again. And on the rooftop of Kyung Industries, with the city sparkling below them and their futures finally unobstructed, Clara Walkers and Luther Kyung found something neither of them had expected. Something that had been worth every moment of chaos to achieve. Something that felt a lot like home. 1 year later. The traffic on Wilshire Boulevard was just as bad as it had been the day they met. Clara drummed her fingers on the steering wheel, singing along badly to whatever was playing on the radio, completely unbothered by the gridlock around her. She'd learned, over the past year, not to stress about traffic. Some things were worth waiting for. Her phone buzzed with a text from Luther. "Dinner tonight? I made reservations at that place you love. The fancy one with the overpriced pasta? You said the pasta was worth it. The pasta is worth it. Your bank account is not my concern." Speaking of bank accounts, I've been thinking about your original proposition. Clara laughed out loud, drawing strange looks from the driver next to her. My original proposition? In traffic. 1 year ago today. She checked the date. He was right. Exactly 1 year since she'd rolled down her window and asked a stranger to be her sugar daddy. I remember. I've decided to accept. Accept what? The position. Sugar daddy. I'd like to formally apply. Clara was laughing so hard now that tears were streaming down her face. I'm not sure you're qualified. I own a multinational corporation. But can you make me laugh? I'm making you laugh right now. How do you know? Because I can see you from my car. Clara looked up. There, in the lane beside her, was Luther's sleek black car. And inside, visible through the window, was Luther himself, grinning at her like an absolute idiot. Clara rolled down her window. He rolled down his. This is stalking, she called over. This is fate. Fate that you happen to be stuck in the same traffic as me on the 1-year anniversary of our meeting? I may have tracked your location. That's definitely stalking. It's romantic. Only because you're pretty. The corner of his mouth twitched, that same twitch that had captivated her from the very beginning. So, he said, will you let me be your sugar daddy? Are you serious? I'm always serious. You're literally never serious. Then let me be serious now. His voice softened, and something in his eyes made Clara's breath catch. Clara Walkers. Love of my life. Professional thorn in my side. Best thing that ever happened to me. Will you move in with me? The cars around them had started honking. The light must have changed somewhere. But Clara didn't care about the light. She didn't care about anything except the man in the next lane, looking at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. Yes, she said. Yes, you'll move in with me? Yes. To everything. To all of it. To whatever chaos we create together. Luther's smile was blinding. I love you, Clara. I love you too, sugar daddy. He laughed, bright and genuine, and the cars behind them honked louder, and somehow it was the most perfect moment of Clara's entire life. She'd found her person. And it had all started with a stupid joke in traffic. Fate really did work in mysterious ways. And that's where we leave Clara and Luther, beautiful souls, finally together, finally happy, finally free from the shadows of betrayal and ready to start their happily ever after. If this story made you laugh, cry, or throw your phone across the room when Naomi's true colors came out, drop a comment and let me know. I read every single one of your reactions, and they absolutely make my day. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Share this video with a friend who loves drama, romance, and plot twists that hit like a truck. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. You're the reason I do this. Same time next week? Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Love you all. Bye.